Welcome everybody to the stream. I am Martin and I'm the founder of Zarktor Studios, and I'm currently developing Zarktor's Realm for the Steam platform. It is a role-playing game similar to, I guess, Skyrim and Fallout 3, but it's got some Monty Python rolled into it, and it's also got heavy metal. I'm a musician, so I want to put some heavy metal into it as well. So basically, it's a whole lot of stuff that I enjoy doing and playing and so forth. So I want to get that into this game. I'm about halfway through this project. It's a 2-year project for me. And the game is starting to get all the major components working now, and I'm in the middle of preparing a demo, a playable demo, which I'm going to be showing at PAX Oz in October this year in Melbourne. On the 7th, 8th, and 9th of October. So what I wanted to go through tonight is something which I've been working on this afternoon, and that is for the main player to be able to invoke dialogue, have a conversation with an NPC, and in fact one of the NPCs in the game is actually a bird. And he's on screen there. And I've managed to figure out now how to get the dialogue as you go through the branching dialogue, and you choose your different dialogue choices with these NPCs, how it's going to play the audio associated with each line of dialogue. So obviously you get the subtitles on screen, but you get the dialogue played as an audio file. And with that audio file, it will then use Salsa to do lip sync on that character, on the NPC, and potentially on the player as well. And I've managed to figure out how to do that, and also how to trigger emotes, which are sort of, it might be blinks, it might be smiles, it might be a sneer, or a sniff or something like that. And you can define these emotes on the characters, on the NPCs, by moving various face positions and then saving them as a particular emote. And then in the dialogue, when you get to a particular point in the dialogue, you can give it a command, an emote command, to tell it to actually trigger that emote for a particular number of seconds. And that'll basically then play at that point in the dialogue. And you can control things like the camera. So you can zoom the camera in to get a close-up view of the NPC while they're talking. You can cut to a cutscene. There's a whole lot of stuff you can do with the dialogue system. And really, for the last few months, I've sort of been bringing together some of the major components in the game. I've got the Invector third-person controller, which is the thing that's controlling the player, and doing everything with the player. So that's also the controller that's going to allow you to fly like Iron Man for one of the characters. It basically allows you to crawl, run, sprint, swim, a whole lot, crouch, a whole lot of stuff. So that's the Invector third-person controller. So it's a third-person view. But it does allow you to zoom the camera in, so the camera is quite dynamic around the character as well. So I've wired that up to the horse riding tool, which I'm using, called Melba's horse riding. And that allows you to use weapons and so forth while you're horse riding. You can get off the horse and continue to use the weapons. There's an inventory system. That's both of those products are then wired into a product called Rewired that basically allows you to configure all the controls that the player are going to use, and it will allow me to dynamically change those controls so that the player will be able to go to a config screen and remap their controls on, say, an Xbox controller, or a PS4 controller, or PS5 controller now, mouse and keyboard, and basically remap the controls using Rewired. So now I've actually, this afternoon, I finished sort of mapping most of the Rewired parts in there, so I can actually customize the player's controls pretty easily in one place, so it's not in multiple places like it was before. So with that, the player can now interact with other NPCs in the game through a product called Dialogue System from Pixel Crushers, and that's the tool that you see in there with the dialogue, which is mostly what I'm going to be working on tonight. It's just playing with the dialogue stuff. But that also has a quest system called Quest Machine that I'm going to be wiring in probably in the next video. But basically, you can start to see that the dialogue and the quest lines are pretty intertwined. The dialogue, as you go through the branching dialogue, you'll be actually setting flags that will say, yep, you've had this conversation, you know about this thing, therefore you know that there's going to be a key here, and when you've got the key, it will set a flag, and that might activate another piece of dialogue later on. So it's visual scripting, but there's a lot of settings and things that obviously have to be set up, false and true flags and those sorts of things all over the place. So it's fairly intricate. And with that, what I've done this afternoon is to wire that dialogue system into a product called Salsa that does all the lip sync on the NPCs, and it also does the eye movements, the head movements, head tracking, so it follows the player around the room, and all the emotions. And basically, it is now so flexible that I can throw in any piece of dialogue, like an audio file, write the dialogue into the dialogue manager, and it will basically do that lip sync really well. So we'll get into that in a second. What else is in there? So I'm using a product called Emerald AI that's basically going to run. It's on the cats at the moment that are in the scene. And there's a wolf outside the hut that has a friendly AI at the moment. And the enemies I'm going to be putting enemy AIs on. But that's also got a link into the dialogue, and it will link into the companion system as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff here sort of being gradually wired together. And then a lot of the rest of the game is kind of developing the actual dialogue using those tools that are then wired up. So most of the sort of main components of the game are in place. So I think the best idea now is just to sort of demonstrate where we're at. If you've watched the stream before, welcome back again. Each time you watch the stream, you'll obviously see a little bit further what I've been able to do. So here I've got the scene window, which is basically in the editor window where I'm looking at the bird, because the bird is the one I've been working on. It's a perspective view of the bird. I can do it in isometric view as well, which can sometimes be a little bit easy, but not in that instance. Whoa, that's a bit close. And in this scene, I've got the player and an NPC. I've moved them out of the way a little bit, but if I play the scene, you will now see when I get in range of either the bird or the NPC, the crazy cat lady, it will then trigger events. So there's my character. I've actually put them in pretty much full armor set. So this is the knight, and I've got them in the full armor set now, which is a bit different from how they looked before. I'll just equip that stuff. So if I move closer to the bird, you now get a little UI indicator that pops up. So it's in vector that's doing that. And the same thing if I move closer to her within the trigger zone, it will trigger that. And I've got the audio muted at the moment. So I do have some audio that I'm hoping that it will play. So if I get in close and I move the character to one side and then press E, it actually makes the character face the NPC, which is what I wanted. Let me just wait a little bit wider. I'm not sure about this UI. I think the UI is a bit... it's the basic one that comes with dialogue system. I want to actually do it quite different to this, but that's just a setting basically to design the UI in a way that I feel comfortable with it. But it may or may not have the character portrait, and I think certainly the view will zoom in a lot closer. I think the default view when you're in dialogue will be pretty close. You'll be looking right over the shoulder of the player at the NPC, or it will frame both the player and the NPC in the same scene and have the dialogue in the middle, or it will toggle between the NPC and the player. The camera will pan backwards and forwards. I'm not sure which way I want to do it. So I've got I've started today a vote on my Discord server to actually run a survey poll. So at the moment, there's 3 people that are voting for the camera to actually pan between the player and the NPC. And there's 2 people that have voted to keep the camera on the NPC, and which is basically what it's doing at the moment, is basically looking at the NPC. But it needs to be a lot closer so you can see the facial expressions, because there's a whole lot of stuff that's going to be happening with these characters. Anyway, that's all to be tweaked. So I'll wait till that survey gets a few more votes, and then I'll start sort of working on trying to implement what most people think. I may end up with possibly being flexible enough to do both. I may have to sort of experiment with it. And one of the reasons I want to try and do this now is because it's a role-playing game, a lot of the role-playing comes out in the dialogue with the NPCs, with the branching dialogue and the choices you make. And I really want that to be in place in order for me to demo it at the PAX Oz game conference to get feedback from people. So I really want to sort of get this stuff working, even if it's just in the demo scene, and it's only a small amount of content. But it then allows me to sort of fine-tune it for the main game. So anyway, here we've got help, can you help me, brave knight? Goodbye. You just leave her alone, go out, come back in again, and you can sort of restart that conversation again. But I could actually do it so that the second time you talk to her, a flag is set already, and it maybe does a different, why didn't you help me the last time? Anyway, sure, what can I do? I'm scared. There's noises coming from the cave to the west. That's where all the demons and things are down there. Okay, I'll investigate. That's obviously accepting a quest that I need to obviously create a quest for that. At the moment, it's just a dialogue choice. Let's go back through that again. Sure, what can I do? Same thing again. What's the problem? They're speaking to me. Who is? The thing's down there. Okay, I'll investigate. That's just a different way of accepting the quest. If I go back in and I try that again. What's the problem? They're speaking to me. Okay, I'm going now.
Find it in your heart not to walk away from here without giving some aid.
Okay, so this one I actually plugged in the audio that I had on that character. So there's actually an audio file with this line, and I got it to play that line. Hopefully you could hear that in the audio feed there. So it'll actually play that audio line, and that's the way all the dialogue is going to work in the game, is to have an audio that'll be recorded by voice actors in England with different English accents. And then from an international perspective, the localization will be allowing you to change your local language to one of the 7 languages that I'm looking to translate it to. So whilst the audio file will be in English, your captions, effectively, your options here, or the text, will be translated to one of 7 different languages. So yeah, that's now working. Obviously, you can't see the character because of the position of the camera at the moment. But if I actually, I don't want to punch her. I want to change the camera position. So let me just go back over here and move my camera in. Woo! Camera in close to her, and let's put it in isometric view. It's a little bit tricky, and let's get this right. All right, let's see if we can get this close in so you can actually see. So this is kind of what the camera needs to be doing in dialogue, is actually selecting the right sort of camera position, which might be a certain distance back from the character. Okay, so we've now got her in view. So if I now go back out, come back here, and I do that same thing again, let's go through the same dialogue choices. I just threw together some dialogue here. This probably won't be in the final game, but it's just a way of testing it. Okay, I'm going now. So this should trigger, if I look at the dialogue database, you can see the branching dialogue here that I've created. And I'm on this step here, the green one. They're speaking to me. If I do this, okay, I'm going now, that's where she'll plead, find it in your heart. And that is where we've got this salsa call to this wave file, and that will place the audio file on her, and she should do her whole lip sync. Do the lip sync thing. Fingers crossed. This is kind of the first time I've tested it with this particular character, so hopefully she'll do the whole lip sync thing.
Find it in your
Yes.
heart not to walk away from here without giving some aid.
Okay, so that's working. It needs a lot of tweaking. It doesn't look particularly good, but it is triggering the event correctly, which is great. And then we've got to finally, sorry, I can't help you, or you can kind of link back into that. Okay, I'll investigate, where you actually accept the quest, and she says thank you. So that's kind of how that whole thing works. So this afternoon, I just did a bit of a experimentation just to wire this up. There's quite a few things happening in the background with this, that prerequisites that needed to be in there, and they basically link rewired for the keystrokes that you're pressing, or the inputs. It links the invector thing in order to trigger generic actions, which is dialogue. It uses the dialogue system to obviously use this, and then it plays the emotes from Salsa on the character. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. But once it's wired up, that same model of setup basically can go on every NPC, and then you're literally just creating dialogues. So here's the actors. So the player, and this is actually a proxy for one of the characters. So there's 12 characters you can choose from in the game. At the moment, I'm hoping to build a 13th one, which will be the Bard. But basically, this player will be a generic, whichever the player is, whichever character it's chosen, and then you've got all your NPCs down here, and you would then have each one of the characters may have one or more conversations. So someone that's going to be in the game at various stages is probably going to have multiple conversations that you can join into. And depending on the flags that are set, you can join a conversation partway through, or you can jump to a particular point. So it's quite flexible. But yeah, this thing's very very powerful. This dialogue system from Pixel Crushers. Effective. I'm going to sort of do a bit more with this. I might write a few more conversations and bring in some more audio tonight. But I did want to sort of demonstrate how that works with this character. Let me go back out, and I'll switch over to the bird, because the bird is quite humorous as well. So let's move in on him. So as I said in the last stream, it might have been a couple of weeks ago, I've actually rigged the cockatiel so that he has a dialogue. His face is rigged. His beak, so he's got a beak, he's got a mandible thing at the bottom, the sort of lower jaw. I've got his eyes blinking individually or together, and I've got these 4 feathers on his head that kind of move up, and I can also, make his legs and his wings and his tail animate as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff I can do as emotes, and I can give him an AI so that he kind of follows me around. But at the moment, I just want to sort of get this dialogue thing going. Let me just get him in view somewhat, because we're going to play some dialogue with him. And I haven't actually tested too much with him yet, so I don't know how this is going to work. But I did start a conversation, Burb Convo, and he starts off with a generic squawk, and depending on the options you choose, you're then going to branch off into other things. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this works. And it's going to be a bit of fun, I think. So let's just save this. So this time I'm going to speak to the Burb, and we'll see where this goes. I'll just move that window. I'm just looking at my Twitch stream as well, just to see the position of the windows. A bit better. Okay, so the bird has a trigger box around him. So if I get inside that, it'll do that talk thing. Okay, so now he's. Oh, that camera is too close. I just want to move that back a bit. There we go. Okay, so I move a bit closer to him. Talk. Squawk. I haven't got an audio file for that yet, but I've made him he's doing a slow blink cycle thing. The smile. Don't you squawk at me. I didn't realise you could talk.
You mortals live such meaningless lives.
Okay, so I've got him to play some audio there, and he does a smile at the end. And that finishes the conversation. So depending on what is going to happen here, let's do the next one. Squawk question mark. Unintelligible. So he's basically mumbling something. It's actually an audio file that I've got. It's a guy with a Cornish accent. Okay, so that's quite a long audio file. And then if we do this one, Squawk, who's a pretty birdie? I am. So I haven't got anything that happens. And the dog has spotted me. So there's the wolf outside, and he spotted me because I've got in range. So his AI is now triggering when he spots me, which I think is a line of sight thing. So yeah, that's kind of where that dialogue thing is going, and it will sort of show that little UI above, which I think is quite sort of fairly nice. And it does the same thing if I walk up to this chest. It's kind of the interaction dialogue. And I don't know whether I showed it a couple of weeks ago, but I've got a Skyrim lockpick asset that will be put in here. So when you open the chest or try to open the chest, it's going to bring up a dialogue where you can, bring up a user interface where you're then doing the lockpick like you are in Skyrim or Fallout 3. And if you succeed, then you'll get the chest being open, you get that sort of animation, and you'll get the goodies inside. So I've got that scene with the lockpick, but I need to integrate it into this scene as a UI over the top when it's triggered by that attempted open. So that's kind of a few things that Invector is triggering in the environment. That's an Invector UI there, and that's sort of starting the dialogue process. So it's lots of components talking to one another. It took quite a while to actually get them. There's integrations that have to be put in between them all, and you've got to test them all and make sure it's all working. Here's the horse riding thing, which is the Malbas part of it. And so in here you've got Malbas and Rewired, so it's actually reading controller input from Rewired, which will allow me to customize that on the fly, or allow the player to actually customize the controls on the fly. And if I go over here, I think you may have seen in the last stream, I added a product called Real Ivy, which just looks fantastic in this environment. So all of these, the ivy up here is automatically grown over these objects. So it just looks fantastic. I've got the inventory system here is actually coming from Invector, which is why there's a gun still there, but it actually does still work. In fact, there's a zombie down here that I think I might be able to shoot with a gun. If I can get it on him. And there's a reload. So it's actually got a reload capability. Invector's a fantastic product. I'm going to be getting rid of the gun, though. You're not going to get a gun in Zarktor's realm. Not initially, anyway. But you do have the bow and arrow, which works quite well. And it works whether you're on the horse or on foot. So coming down into the dungeon, this is where you'll be doing the initial quest to clear out all these spooky bad guys. And you can pretty much go wherever you want to go on the horse at the moment. You can kind of go indoors into the lady's hut, back out again on the horse if you really want to. There's a few display issues going on there. And it's pretty slow because of all the stuff I'm running at the moment. It needs some optimization, but it's reasonably responsive for me. I don't know what it's like on the stream. Probably the frame rate's dropped right off, but for me, the frame rate feels not too bad. I can feel it is a bit slower though. And it'll be because I haven't got occlusion culling. So I'm down in the dungeon, but my scene window at the top is still rendering the bird. So it's obviously doing twice as much work here as it needs to, because it's rendering pretty much everything in this whole scene, including what's above ground and below ground. So it's not doing any occlusion culling at the moment. So it's probably no surprise that it is a bit slow. Here's kind of the main sort of mini boss guy, who is pretty damn scary. There's a couple of items there that you'll be trying to collect. This guy isn't animated yet. He needs to have his AI added and the animation routines and the attacks and all those sort of things. But that's basically one of the bosses down here, the mini bosses down here. And a lot of the sort of minion guys are these sort of plague husks, which are effectively they're effectively zombies brought back from the plague. and you've got cultists that are bringing they're killing people through spreading the plague, but then they're bringing them back as the undead army. So yeah, you have to deal with all this in Zarktor's realm. There's been quite a few catacomb things going on here, so you've got some quite big guys. At the moment, they're not doing anything to me. They're not doing any damage because I wanted to just make sure that I can do damage to them first before they kill me off. And there'll be some quest items down here. So this level's actually a sample level from one of the assets that I bought. It's like a catacomb level, and I really like it. Like, I'm probably going to take this level apart a bit and restructure it because I think I can make it a bit more interesting and split it up. But the quality of the asset is just amazing. The lighting that I've put into the scene with the post-processing effects, I quite like the effect that it's having with that sort of green glow on the lamps. It's a little bit bright. I need to make it a bit darker. But yeah, it sort of links in with the caves and with the sort of dungeon feel that I wanted. So I think from this level's point of view, it actually ticks a lot of boxes for me without having to do a massive amount of work, and I can sort of focus on what the player is doing rather than on so much on this one, on level building, because the level's actually pretty well built already. I'm not sure if I'll have it completely like this in the demo. I think I'll be modifying it to do some other things. One of the things I'm doing with the Vector is to add a climbing system. And if you jump down, I'll actually show you, if you jump down into this pit on the horse and get off the horse, and I can now kill these guys. They can't do me any harm at the moment because I haven't wired them up to do that for their attacks, so they just kind of stand there. Hey, you survived my arrow. That's impressive. There we go. Yeah, so you deal with these guys down here, and you can walk along and you can pick up those. There's the Invector thing here, and you can pick up the arrows, which puts them back in your inventory. And you're now at a point where you're stuck. Even with the horse, you basically can't get out of this pit. You have to have the climbing mechanic to be able to have the player climb something on the wall. So I'm probably going to have like a rickety ladder over here that you would then climb up. Or some objects that you can climb on or something like that. But yeah, Invector's got a facility to be able to climb, and that's what I want to do in this level, is have it so that you can jump down in this pit, and you will be able to get out of it as well. I'm also thinking about whether or not you flood it. You can flood it, and then you can potentially swim your way up to the top and climb out. So that's also an option. Let me know what you think if you're on the Discord server. Let me know what you think about that, because this is sort of like a demo level. So what I want to have in this level is pretty much all of the main mechanics. So it's like a tutorial. So you'll be swimming, climbing, crouching, rolling, all the sort of main player characteristics that you've got. Horse riding. It's all in this level, even if the level is quite small, and the quests will be very basic. So yeah, I've got to stop it here because I can't get out of this. I'm now stuck down here. But yeah, that occlusion culling thing is probably why that's running a little bit slow, because I'm still seeing this guy back in the hut, and he should be hidden. If occlusion culling is visualize. There we go. There. So if I take that out of isometric view, that's with occlusion culling on now. So basically the player camera is pointing forwards and it's showing what is in the viewport, but basically it's not rendering the rest of the scene. So with that, that's going to perform better because it's not having to render this screen and that one as well. It hasn't going to render all these other objects in the background. So occlusion culling is a big thing for performance. I just don't like the fact that when I'm in that scene, it's actually hiding the player's head. It just looks really odd. So yeah, so that's kind of where that demo scene is up to. So I'm quite pleased that I've got the dialogue system triggering correctly, and dialogue is now also triggering the lip sync, and it's also triggering the emotes, which is great because it means that I can create these facial expressions, or if you want someone to be nervous in the middle of dialogue, you can get their eyes sort of looking left and right, sort of a bit nervous looking, and you can trigger those emotes from the dialogue. So from a particular dialogue choice to actually trigger an emote. That's quite a lot of fun. Let me try and zoom the camera in here. Put that back on edit. I prefer it on edit at the moment. All right, so there's my player. And you'll notice that I have, let's just put it in isometric view and flip the player around. So you'll notice that I've actually turned on most of the armor set for the player, just to kind of give her a sort of knight feel. Before, she was sort of equipped more with the sort of leather, almost sort of stealth gear. I've had to take the hair off because the hair will go through the helmet, but effectively when I use RPG Builder, which is the next major component to go back in, RPG Builder, when you actually equip the armor pieces, that's when it decides which parts of the character to hide and show. So you've got to obviously let RPG Builder know that when you put on a helmet visored, it's going to hide the hairstyles here. So I've actually manually done this. If I take off the helmet and I turn on all this hair, that is effectively what would happen when you take off a helmet, is it's going to automatically do that and then put the helmet on. So that's RPG Builder that's doing that. And one of the things I'm still working on debugging is to actually get RPG Builder to work nicely with all the other products. So we're talking Rewired, Invector, Malbers, Dialogue System, Salsa, etc. The inventory system in Invector as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff in there that has to work with RPG Builder. RPG Builder is effectively where I'm going to be building. So I'm going to bring up RPG Builder for a second. This is RPG Builder, and this is effectively where you build up the database of your combat spells. So you imagine sort of World of Warcraft, where you've got all these sort of spells or different attack types, an economy and trading and items and loot tables and currencies and progression and etc. etc. Some of this stuff may not be done in RPG Builder because I've got other ways of doing it with the other tools. Like the AI, for example, I think I'm going to be using Emerald, but I might link in some of this. You don't have to use it all. And RPG Builder has its own character controller, but I'm actually using Invector and Malbers as a character controller. So I need to get these things to talk to one another without conflict. And that's kind of the last major sort of piece to wire up here so that it's not causing problems. And then I can basically work on all this stuff here, like creating a plate belt UI with a 2D picture of it. So when it's in your inventory, you can see it in your inventory, work out what the stats are for those items, and then obviously attach a 3D version of it to the character and make it so that when you put the belt on, it gives you those stats and those sorts of things. There's a whole lot of wiring up here to actually define what that inventory item is going to do to the character, what capabilities it gives you, what happens when you use it, for example, there. And then you've also got where are you? Combat effects. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So here this is where your characters will have the skill trees. So you'd have your abilities. Where is it? You have types. Is it types? Progression, I think it is. Here we go. Talent trees. So there's a warrior talent tree at the moment in this thing, and you can create your own talent trees and skill trees and sort of spell books and all these sort of things. And you can then start creating your own unique attacks for each character. So the female knight and the male knight might have very similar attacks. The female Templar has wings and she can fly, and the male Templar does not have wings and he can't fly. So their abilities will be similar but not the same. So their skill trees might be slightly varied. And if you're a magician or a mage type, then your skill tree, if you specialize in fire as opposed to electricity, is going to be different. And of course, the spells that you use for your attacks will be different. But in these attacks, in these combat things here, this is really where you tell it what type of damage it's going to do. Is it area of effect? Is it a projectile? What sort of, where's the effects applied? So this is where the fun comes in, because you actually start applying. I've got a whole lot of spell effects that I want to be able to put into the game, particularly for the magic user players, but also the hunter, and also the warrior has like a barbarian sort of charge effect and all those sorts of things. So you're going to get these magic effects, particle effects around the player or around the projectile as they're firing it. And this is where you actually attach that to that thing so that it spawns when you do that thing. This is where you can attach the animations that will play with that, the visual effects, the sounds that go with it. So obviously if you've got a standard sort of punch, then you have a punch sound, all that sort of thing. So lots and lots and lots of setup in this, lots of balancing. Obviously you've got the stats on these items, how much damage they're going to do. You've got requirements if they actually need to have an item in your inventory in order to do something, or there's some kind of requirement that you need to meet in order to be able to use this spell. You've got cooldowns. So there's so much in RPG Builder. I think this product won like best Unity tool. Yeah, it's won it at least once. I think maybe even twice. So it's a very, very powerful RPG tool, which is why I'm integrating it. But I want the rest of the game to actually work first, because this thing is going to be quite tricky to integrate. There's a lot of things to tie in, but I have had a play with it in its on standalone, and I've actually been playing with it to actually get it to work with Invector first of all, so that you actually use the Invector character with the main player. But it's got a whole lot of stuff in here, like it's got the scene builder, so you can actually, this little thing up here where I'm choosing the scenes in my project, I can quickly zip between these scenes using RPG Builder's thing, and when it needs to, it'll actually do the scene transition using RPG Builder. There's a couple of things which are in conflict here, like the quest system. There's a quest system in RPG Builder, and there's a quest system in Dialogue, the dialogue system from Pixel Crushers, and there's a quest system called Quest Machine from Pixel Crushers, which is the one I'm going to be using. So where it says quest items here, this is going to be linked in with Quest Machine, and I'm probably not going to use this quest system with RPG Builder. I'm going to do it twice. So one of them will be deactivated, and I'll be using the other one. It's got a dialogue system in here. I'm actually using dialogue system, not RPG Builder's one. So there's some items here that I'm not going to be using. It's not really resource management. I may do some crafting of items, but I want to get the basic things down first. So probably some basic combat stuff. And certainly the bit that I'm most looking to get RPG Builder to work on is this thing where as you attach the inventory, it's going to show and hide various parts here. So basically, equipping the armor is going to change the stats on your player, and it's going to show and hide various parts of the mesh as you equip that. And that's kind of where RPG Builder comes in. So it's in the project. I just need to wire it into the character. So right now, the main player character, doesn't have RPG Builder on there, I don't think. No, it's got these bits here are the horse riding, the Malbus horse riding. Here's Invector with in Invector integration between Invector and the horse riding system called HAP. These V ones are all Invector, third person character things. And there's the dialogue system bridge. So that basically links Invector to the dialogue system. And it's just some code that's running in the background. So this code effectively is handling things like you start dialogue with an NPC, it needs to pause the character so that the character doesn't move around on the screen when you're moving the mouse to choose dialogue. It's got things in here where it will read the health or the health of the character. It can actually register different functions. So there's code in there that in that particular bridge that knows about Invector and it knows about the dialogue system. And so these sort of integration points are very important. There's an integration between the dialogue system and Salsa, and that's what I've been able to use in this thing. Where are my conversations here? I don't know if you can see that, but when you get to that point in the dialogue, there's a sequence here where the dialogue system is actually calling Salsa on the NPC to say, play this high elf custom line, you mortals live such meaningless lives. So this is a kind of a hack way of doing it, because what you're doing is you're actually saying, here's all the text to actually put on the screen, and here's the audio file that you want to play. But you actually have to type in the whole name of the file name and sort of hard code it in there. So if something changes, it's a bit fragile. So they've actually got a way where you can use, I forget what they call it. It is called a clip. No. It's called an entry tag. Yeah, so you do salsa brackets, entry tag brackets. And the entry tag will automatically figure out the NPC's name and the conversation number, or the conversation, whichever the conversation is, and it will then jump to the right dialogue line based on the dialogue that's in there. So as long as you name the audio files exactly as per the NPC, the conversation number and the conversation line, then you don't need to code all this in. You literally just put this entry tag in all of them, and it will just play the right audio, assuming they're all named correctly in the project, and then you don't need to worry about editing this stuff too much. And of course, you've got to record the audio with the same text that's in the text box, otherwise it's going to look a bit odd. And you do see that with games sometimes where they've obviously recorded the audio, they've updated the subtitle or something and not re-recorded the audio, or vice versa. So there's room for error, definitely. But I'm sort of now that I'm at this point, I'm pretty comfortable to actually start working with some collaborators on dialogue to actually start getting the real dialogue written. This is kind of just sort of a proof of concept here that I'm working in this scene. But it's actually pretty easy. So I think what I might do is create another dialogue in here, just have a sort of a bit of a play, because I want to sort of experiment with it. I've only really got it working fully today. I've been working with it for quite a few months, but I've only really got these components talking to one another today without a problem. So there's no errors now that I had before. So I'm going to create a new dialogue. And it's that conversation here. I'm going to call it Crazy Cat Lady. I'm going to call it Crazy Cat. So I'm going to write a quest line that I'm going to write the response part of the quest when you've gone and you've cleared out the dungeon and you come back to her with the solution. So it's going to be a different conversation. You can have this conversation where she gives you the quest and she pleads that you to get the quest. You get the quest, that closes off that conversation. You're going to come back to her at some later time after setting some flag, after beating the bad guys in the dungeon, and that flag is going to then trigger this conversation. So I think this one will be Crazy Cat Lady Quest Hand In. It's just the name of it. And we should be ready to go. So let's Quest Hand In. There we go. All right, so we need to, so it's got the actor is me as the player, and the conversant is the crazy cat lady. So this is kind of where she's going to be that happy that you've solved the quest for her that she's going to give you one of the cats as a pet. That's the idea anyway of this thing. So we start off here. We'll create a child node off the start of that conversation, and you kind of need this bit down the bottom here. And she's going to say something like, is it done? Is it done? Have you cleared out the monsters? Question. I might come back and I just want to get the general sort of flow of the conversation down. Let me zoom in a bit here so you can see it a bit better. So that's her line, and then if I do child node, it's my line as the player. So as you click on these, you can see this one is the actor is actually the crazy cat lady, and then in this one it's the player. So the blue ones are my player responses or choices, if you want to do. So I might say, not yet. I'm still clearing out the catacombs. So that dialogue might happen if you've actually been into the catacombs. So there might be another one in here where you go, no, I haven't found the cave entrance yet. So on this instance, obviously you've come back to her. In this instance, she might say, it's to the west. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. Thanks. I'll get to it. Okay, so that's the end of that conversation if you go in that one. So she tells you that it's to the west. So if you've accepted the quest, but then you farted around in the level and you forgot that you actually need to go down in the cave and actually go to the bottom of the dungeon and clear it out. She's going to remind you where the cave entrance is to the west. I'm assuming it's to the west. I need to double check that. Anyway, so this one here, obviously you have found, I need to set a flag in here, but if you have discovered the cave entrance, then you're not going to get this. You're going to get this instead. So you've discovered the cave entrance. I'm still clearing out. The catacombs, still exploring. Let's do exploring the catacombs. And she's going to say, why are you exploring? You should be killing the monsters. The monsters. Why are you exploring? Question mark. You should be killing the monsters. Okay, at which point you might say something like, I haven't found them yet. And she might say, go deeper into the cavern system. There's a dungeon down there. Dungeon and catacomb down there. And you might say, why? I'm just thinking on the fly here. Why didn't you tell me that before I accepted this quest? And she might say, just get to it. Just get to it. And let's just go. Right. I'll be back. Okay, so that's the end of that conversation. Okay, is it done? Have you cleared out the monsters? Not yet. I'm still exploring the catacombs. Let's put another one off here, which says, let's zoom that out a bit. And this one will be, not yet. There's still some bad guys to deal with. Okay, so this is kind of exploring, and this is okay. I'm into combat, and I've come back here, and I haven't finished clearing it out yet. So, not yet. Still some bad guys to deal with. She's going to say, I can still hear them in my sleep. You need to get rid of them. Okay. And we could go crazy with the amount of branching. I'm just going to do a little bit of sort of a few branches so that we can set some flags and do some stuff. Both in terms of the player being able to choose different choices, but in terms of if you get to the cave entrance, then it can actually set a flag with a trigger, and that will then remove something. Like if you've discovered the cave entrance, then this option is going to be hidden. You won't get this dialogue option because you've already discovered the cave. You might forget that you discovered it, but you have. You need to get rid of them. I'm going to say here. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove that. I'm just going to join that one straight to this. I'll be back. Sort of a Arnold Schwarzenegger line. So she's just reminding you need to clear out all of them. Obviously, you've missed some bad guys, and she needs you to get back out there. So I'll be back. Is it done? Have you cleared out the monsters? And this one will be. Yep. They're all dead. Lie. So this is going to be a lie type situation. And I think I'm going to link from there to I can still hear them in my sleep. You need to get back out there. I'll be back. So even if you lie, you are still she's going to force it that she can still hear them. So you need to get back out there. So that's that one. And then you've got one where obviously you have killed them. And by the way, these guys are these are undead down there. So yeah, they are dead because they're undead. So yeah. Yes, I've cleared the catacombs of the bad guys. Here's the what's going to be. Here's going to be the gem I found next to the boss. Something like that. So in this instance, you've actually returned with an inventory item or with a flag or something, and you're showing it to her, and she can then confirm. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah, what's happening here? Come on, save. Let's do an auto backup. Okay, thank God. God, what am I typing? Thank God. What's she going to say? She's going to be very pleased. She's going to thank God. Well, thank you. Thank you. What's she going to say? Yes, I've cleared the catacombs of the bad guys. Here's the thing. I knew you could do it. I knew you could do it. You could do it. You have changed my life. Okay. Maybe your response to that is going to be, it was nothing, which is humble. And another response might be, it was really difficult. It was really difficult. I nearly died. Which is, and then there might be another one, which is, it's changed my life. Yeah. What about payment. So you're kind of mercenary type. So you got these kind of role-playing, this might be what a paladin might do, this might be what, a normal fighter might do, and this might be what, an assassin might do or whatever. So they're going to have different responses here. It was nothing. Okay, well, it was to me. I'm so grateful. I'd like to reward you. Okay, so that's her response. It was really difficult. I nearly died. She's not going to be too impressed with that answer because she knows you're a knight. It was really difficult. I nearly died. I thought you were some amazing knight hero. Surely you weren't in any real danger. Just joking, just joking. Just joking. It was easy. It was easy. It was nothing. Actually, just joking. Just joking. It was easy. Actually, what I could do is take that and link back to that. It was nothing. So it was really difficult. I nearly died. I thought you were some amazing knight hero. Surely you weren't in any real danger. It was nothing. It was to me. I'm so grateful. So this is going to allow you to sort of recover that conversation. She's lost a bit of faith in you, and then you kind of regather it again. And then here you're asking for payment. And she's going to be, I don't have very much. Let's not make it too complicated. Don't have very much. But I would like to reward you somehow. Okay, so both of those. So at the moment, these dialogue choices don't fundamentally change the outcome of the game, but they could if I set certain flags in here. So, for example, one of the things that the other tool, where is it? Losing track of things. Pixel Crushers. So the other product that I've got there is called Love Hate, and this is a product that deals with reputation and deeds. So potentially, as a result of doing these quests, and as a result of how you'd enter the dialogue, and you're proud, or you're humble, or you're a mercenary, then potentially you could change the deed system and have a reputation score, and she might then help your reputation, and you go into the village in the next scene over, and your deeds have been shared with those people there, and you get better prices in the inn because, they recognize what a hero you are. Versus they see, she sees you as a mercenary who's just after the money, and then when you go to the next town, then they deal with you because of that situation. So you can actually use this love-hate thing to set reputation based on deeds. I'm not going to get into that right now because that adds another layer of it's a richness to the game, but it's not immediately required in order to get the dialogue system underway. It's a bit more nuanced, so I'm going to sort of add that later. All right, but what I can do here is change the outcome of what you get as a result of both doing the quest and in terms of the dialogue. So what about this payment? Maybe what you get is not the cat. Maybe what you get is a couple of coins or something. Yeah, let's do that. So I'd like to reward you somehow. So let's take this. Let's just take apart this one, and let's say here, it was somehow, I only work for coin. Okay, and this one here is what do you have of value? Okay, so in this instance, she says, here, take this coin as payment and get out. Okay, and get out. You this payment and get out. To reward you, only work for coin. Here, typical of you mercenary types. Mercenary. I think mercenary types. Typically, you mercenary types. Here, take this coin and get out. Okay, so that's the end of the conversation. Obviously, you get a coin because of the way that you chose that dialogue, which means you're not going to get a cat as a result of this dialogue choice down here. And of course, you have to have completed the quest in order to get this dialogue tree to trigger in the first instance. So here, I don't have moments who like to reward you. What do you have of value? She might then say, what do you have of value? I've only got a coin or two. Might be one of the responses. And then out of that could be, I only work for... Oh, let's remove that one there. And let's do a join to that. I only work for coin. And then you back out to that chain. So what do you have of value? I've only got a coin or two. And if you then say, I only work for coin, then you get your coin and you're out of there. But the other thing that she might say is, my cats are so important to me, but they are so... cats are so important to me, but they are so valuable. Would you like one? And you might then say, sure, give me the white one. And you might also say, sure, I'm happy to take the... I think the other one's ginger, isn't it? Yeah, ginger one. The ginger one. Okay, so you get different ones. So would you like one? And then another response might be, no, I can see they're important to you. You keep them. They're important to you. They're important to you. Keep them here. You keep them here. Okay, so as a result of this, you're kind of being so you said, what about payment? No. What do you have of value? Well, I've only got my cats. Do you want one? No. I think I can see they're important. So you've kind of redeemed yourself in a way if you've wound up here. And maybe that's going to set one of these deeds that you've done this whole quest line and she's offered you payment in terms of a pet and you've said no. And then maybe your reputation is boosted by this. So let me put some answers to these things and then we can wire up all the missing. Because wherever you got these red diamonds, that's where we're exiting the conversation. So I need to link some of these up to do things. So that's definitely one end there. It's so important to me, but the cats are so important to me, but they are so... My cats are so important to me, but they are so nice to have as... as companions. Would you like one? Okay, so from here, it was to me, I'm so grateful, I'd like to reward you. Okay. Let's have a child node there. Not to reward you. And you're going to say, what are you going to say that? It was nothing. It was to me. I'm so grateful. I'd like to reward you. Ah, shucks. Ah, shucks. Shucks. And then you answer that, and it's then going to link to, my cats are so important to me, but they are nice to have as companions. Would you like one? So that links that up. Cool. And then you're going to go, I'll have the ginger one, I'll have the white one, or no, I can see they're important to you, keep them. And that's kind of where you walk away with nothing but maybe honor and reputation. Cool. So that's kind of linked up. I'll be back. That's where you're finishing the quest. You're going to need to come back out and come back in again. That one's done. Happy to take the ginger one. Okay, so let's put a little bit of unique content into this dialogue here. Actually, I need to save. I don't want to lose any of this. So happy to take the ginger one. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the ginger one do combat. Okay. Oh. Watch him. He scratches. He scratches. Ginger one, yeah. Actually, you could do an option here where you go on second thoughts. I'll take the white one. So you've got an option to switch. And the other option is, thank you. Thank you, take care. Okay, so that's kind of the end of the conversation. That's where you get the cat, you get the ginger cat, and you walk out, and that's the quest line completely finished. On second thoughts, I'll take the white one, which is the alternative to this line. And it's going to say, sure, give me the white one. Oh, he's a softie. Oh, he's a softie. Oh, he's a softie. Yeah, that'll do. And then on this one, you might have a, on second thoughts, I'll take the ginger one. And then the link will go back to that. So watch him, he scratches. On second thoughts, oh, he's a softie. So you'd be able to switch your choices, figuring out one scratches and one softie. So this one's going to do combat. This one will have other things going on. That's my thinking on it anyway. So these are crossovers. And so that's fine. So it's quite a sort of intricate dialogue. I mean, it's only taken, what, half an hour, 20 minutes maybe. Quite sort of dynamic to do. I find it quite easy to sort of work through this. Of course, we'll test it and we'll make sure that we actually go down all these branches in the dialogue choices, but then we actually need to set some flags and things to actually do stuff and give you inventory and all those sorts of things. So that can come later. I'll take the ginger one, and then just the white one. I'll take the white one. Okay, so that's that one. That's no. I need to get rid of that. Get rid of that. He's a softie. Okay, I'll go. Thanks. I'll take good care of him. Take care. Take good care of him. See you around. All right. Thank you. Take care. So this is when you take the ginger one. Thank you. Watch him. He scratches. Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Heal. be useful in combat. Take care. All right, that should display all the dialogue choices. I think that's probably enough for now. And that's obviously a whole quest hand-in conversation. So let's put that. I need to set some flags and things on the character, but for the moment, let's take the character, and when we trigger the generic action here, we want to trigger on use dialogue system. On use dialogue system trigger. Okay, so the first conversation is there. We're just going to temporarily change this to the quest hand-in just to kind of test this conversation out and see if we can follow along with what's going on here, make sure that it's going where it needs to go. All right, so save. Okay, I think you can see that on screen. Yeah, looks about right. Trying to get the screen to show everything's quite tricky, because as we move through the dialogue, it should actually highlight where we are, which will be very useful for keeping track of stuff. So we're kind of going to test different paths here. We can come back and restart the dialogue again because it will just trigger that same dialogue. But of course, what we want to do is, if you've set the flag that you've completed the quest, that's going to actually affect some of these choices here. So we will get back to that later. All right, I think that's really going to save the scene. All right, let's go. Give us a bell. Oh, yeah, so tired. Working for weeks and weeks and weeks. I haven't been working enough on my game, but I've been doing a lot of other work. Okay, so speak to the lady. Okay, cool. We're on the green up here. Is it done? Have you cleared out the monsters? Okay. So there's all your choices. Not yet. I'm still exploring the catacombs. While you're exploring, you should be killing the monsters. I haven't found them yet. Go deeper in the cavern system. There's a dungeon and a catacomb down there. Why didn't you tell me before I accepted this quest? Just get to it. I'll be back. Okay, so that's kind of the first sort of incomplete way of doing it. Have you cleared out the monsters? So I've done that tree, I think. No, I haven't found the cave entrance yet. It's to the west. You can't miss it. Thanks, I'll get to it. So that kind of jumps you immediately. That's basically the reminder. Talk. Cleared out the monsters. Not yet. There's still some bad guys to deal with. So that means that I've set the flag that I've discovered the cave entrance, which means I can probably hide these two. And I've probably found the bad guys. So maybe you've got to the bottom of the steps and actually started killing the first guy, which has set the flag. But obviously you haven't killed the main boss, so this option should be valid. There's still some bad guys left to deal with. I can still hear them in my sleep. You need to get rid of them. I'll be back. Okay, so basically it's an incomplete quest. You need to get to it. Is it done yet? I've cleared out the monsters. Yep, they're all dead, so I'm lying about that now. I can still hear them in my sleep. You need to get rid of them. I'll be back. So essentially you've got to deal with these, get this quest done. And then let's follow this last line down through this completion. Yes, I've cleared the catacombs of the bad guys. Here's the gem I found next to the boss. So obviously, this option isn't going to be shown because that's the lying one. And if you have completed it, then this option will be available. But this option, you might still lie anyway. This option is only going to be available if you actually collected the gem next to the boss. So you've set a flag by killing the boss. Which was the guy I was showing at the beginning of the video. Cleared the catacombs of the bad guys. Here's the gem I found next to the boss. I knew you could do it. You have changed my life. Okay, I'm going to go humble. It was nothing. It was to me. I'm so grateful. I'd like to reward you. Shucks. My cats are so important to me, but they are so nice to have as companions. Would you like one? Sure, give me the white one. Oh, he's a softie. On second thoughts, I'd have the ginger one. Okay, watch him, he scratches. On second thoughts, I'll take the white one. So you're basically just toggling between the two here, crossing over. Thanks, I'll take good care of him, see you around. Okay, so that's, you drop out of the conversation, and I need to wire in getting an inventory thing, which might be a picture of a cat in your inventory that you can then call on him to actually have him come to you. Or something like that. A bit like World of Warcraft, where they kind of go into your pet menagerie screen. So let's go down this path again. I'm going to go... What did I do there? I did humble. I think I've done the humble stuff. Oh, shucks. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to go... It was really difficult. I nearly died. I thought you were some kind of amazing knight hero. Surely you weren't in any real danger. It was nothing. It was to me. I'm so grateful I'd like to reward you. Okay, so you're back into that path. I might enrich that one a little bit because it's a little bit too naive. I think you might have... It was difficult. I didn't really die, and, you kind of appeal to her that she needs to give you a better reward. Yep. Okay. Oh, I dropped out of the conversation in the wrong place there. So it's not having any impact at the moment other than dialogue choices. I've cleared out the catacomb of the bad guys. You've changed my life. It was really difficult and nearly died. We did that one. So, yeah, what about payment? I don't have very much, but I would like to reward you somehow. I only work for coins. This is basically where we're going to go down this path here. I only work for coin, typical of your mercenary. Here, take this coin and get out. Typically mercenary type. Here, take this coin and payment, get out. Conversation over. And your reputation might be set or changed by that dialogue. And you might not be able to restart the dialogue with her either. She might choose not to talk to you at all now. I've cleared out the monsters. Changed my life. Yeah, what about payment? I've answered that one already. So what do you have of value? I've only got a coin or two. I only work for coin. Typically your mercenary types. Okay, so what have you got of value? So I've actually got a problem here, because if I go down this path, what do you have of value? I need it to take me to this one here as well as another option. What do you have of value? So I need to think about that one. Come back to that in a second. Let's come back out to that talk. Let's just check that I got to the right place. Cleared out the bad guys. Yep. What about payment? Okay, so you got a kind of mercenary answer there. What do you have of value? Now, she needs to be able to go down the path of... that's the problem. I've only got it going to only work for coin, where she should be able to say my cats are so important. Okay, so what do you have of value? You got a coin or two. Only work for coin. Okay. So let's have only got a coin or two. Only work for coin. But we could also have something here. Yeah, okay. I think I know where I need to do the change, just to make that a little bit better. This picture up here is not quite right either. I'm going to actually take screenshots of the character. That's if I'm even going to have the portrait thing going on. All right, so what do you have of value? What do you have of value? And do you have a value? You got a coin or two. The cat's so important to me. What do you have of value? You got a coin or two. I don't think it triggered from here down to those two. I think it only gave me that one. I'm going to have another look at that. I don't have very much, but would like to reward you somehow. What do you have of value? Oh, yes, of course. So this is the player. the player's asking, what do you have a value? But the NPC has to choose between these two, and it's not a player choice, an NPC choice. What do you have a value? Have you got a coin or two? Do you have a value? So she needs to. So the player needs to make a choice here. What do you have a value? What do you have a value? Right, yeah, that's what we need. We need a response. Only work for a coin or two. I've only got a coin or two. Only work for coin. We need a response. The player needs a response off this one. Got a coin or two. And that's where you accept it. Only work for coin, but we need another one here which says you got a coin or two. It's fine. It's fine. I don't need your coin. I need your coin. Go make a head around who's talking and who's responding. The blue is the player. It's fine. I don't need your coin. And then from there, we go to my cats. So this one here, we get rid of that link. Okay, that should kind of work. What do you have a value? I've only got a coin or two. I only work for coin, typically mercenary types. I've only got a coin or two. It's fine. I don't need your coin. My cats are so important. And that's where you get into the cat part there. Okay, I think that should fix that problem. And then I just wanted to sort of enrich this. It was a really difficult part because that path was a bit thin. I want to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's just test this path down here that you can get you start about payment. You look at the coin and then you choose something else and you get the cat. That's what I want to test. All right, let's go here. Don't punch her. Talk. Is it done? Have you cleared out the monsters? Yes, I've cleared the catacomb of the bad guys. Here's the gem I found next to the boss. I knew you could do it. You've changed my life. Yeah, what about payment? I don't know very much, but I'd like to reward you somehow. What do you have of value? I've only got a coin or two. I only work for coin is going to take us down that I only work for coin. Typically, your mercenary types. Here, take this. We've already been down that path. It's fine. I don't need your coin. This is the new part we've added. My cats are so important to me, but they're so nice to have as companions. Would you like one? Sure, give me the white one. And we know we've been through that. Now, I consider important to you. Keep them here. And I think as a result of this, she's going to be very grateful. She's going to give you a reputation boost, I think, or something like that. So she's going to say, no, I consider important to you. Keep them here safe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to tell everyone. Be sure to tell everyone. It's kind of a reputation thing. I'll be sure to tell everyone. Will she do that? Thank you so much. Be sure to tell everyone of your deeds. No, be sure to. Thank you so much. I know what I do. Come. Thank you so much. Come back any time, and I'll cook you and do it down here. Cook you a big feast. So she's going to do that as well. And then maybe the reputation thing will be in there as well. So we could set a reputation flag. So that sort of finishes that conversation. Take the ginger one, take the white one. That's coming off greys. Yeah. Okay, so we've now basically got a conversation tree that I think stands up to a bit of variability. There's different outcomes coming out of these. You get a ginger cat, you get a white cat, you get reputation, or you get coin. That's if you complete the quest. And you'll only get one of those outcomes. Have you cleared out the monsters? Yep, cleared out the catacombs, the bad guys. You can do it, you've changed my life. Yeah, what about payment? What do you have of value? You got a coin or two. It's fine, I don't need your coin. Which of the cats do you want? I can see they're important to you. You keep them here. I'll cook you a big feast. Okay, cool. All right. So I've got to change that. That dog is just annoying me now. That every time he howls, every time he sees me. Let me fix that before I forget, and then I can do some other stuff with this dialogue. All right. We are looking for animals. Wolf, male, buzz, brown. That's the one. And he... detection. Yeah. Detection of the player. Neutral. Open faction manager wolves. I think there's actually a trigger in here. Detection options. So this is Emerald AI that's doing this stuff on the wolf. Sounds. This is interaction sound clip. Where is it playing the sound? Temperament. AI settings. To refamiliarize myself with where this stuff is. Nav mesh. Combat. No, I don't think there's any of the combat ones. Combat. Hit. Nav mesh is navigation. Optimize. Events. Could be in the events. No, they're all zeros, so it's not any of those. Oh, hang on. General. Here you go. Here it is. So under AI, events, so it's triggering an event. General, it's not a combat event. It's saying when you detect the player, do the wolf howl. It sets the audio on the animator. Plays the howl. So that plays a howling animation. That sets the wolf howl and that plays it. So I'm actually going to just remove the play. Yeah, I'll remove the audio as well. So he's going to do the animation when he sees me, but he's not going to howl. I think that's the way to do it. Okay, that should solve that problem. He'll still detect me and he'll still do his howl animation. It should work fine. All right. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I think that dialogue system's working quite well. It actually has the ability to put in localization as well. So you can actually export all this dialogue, get someone to translate it, and then import it in with a language code so that it, depending on the player's chosen language, it will put up different subtitles in their language. And of course, what I'm going to be doing is playing the audio associated with each of these. So I've got to actually record the audio. I don't think this will be the final. This is just sort of a bit of a play attempt, really. But we're going to figure out what the quests are in this level. And definitely clearing out that dungeon is going to be one of the quests. So possibly this might work. Definitely I want to have the pets there. So it might just be the wording here. We might put a bit of humor in. And I've got to do more work here with the request for help. She needs to give more information about what's going on down in the dungeon. She needs to give you enough clues as to how to solve the quest, tell you what's really going on, and she might do a bit of story exposition in this. Oh, that's something you can see. So up here you've got help. Can you help me? Brave var equals actor. What that does is it substitutes the actor's name into the dialogue dynamically. So the player's name, in this case, is currently Knight, but the player's name on the player, when you create the player and choose one of the 12 characters, you would obviously put in the player's name there. So it could be the player's name, it could be the player's class that we use there, but that's how you dynamically put text into the dialogue, certainly into the subtitle. Obviously the audio is that she's not going to say the audio of the name Knight, so we need to make the audio make sense. It might be adventurer or something. Brave, can you help me, adventurer? Brave adventurer, rather than character's name, because that won't work if the actor's name has been stripped out. But anyway, again, we've got this thing where you just turn around and walk away. And I think we might have another thing where you come back in and restart the conversation. Oh, you're back. Are you going to help me now? So maybe we have another child node off this, which says, "Oh, you're back. You're back. Can you help me? You're back. Can you help me? Please help me. Please. Please help me." Okay. And from there, you can go to goodbye again. So you're just going to go round and round in circles. Or, sure, what can I do? So this is the first claim. This is the second claim when you come back in. And I think you've got the two options there. This is only going to happen the first time. This will happen after the first time. So I need to set a condition on this. So let's actually set some variables now. Let's actually get rid of this one here. Yep. Let's create a variable. Let's make it a Boolean flag. I'm going to rename this. I need to work out a standard, but let's call this first plea for help. And the initial value is true. This will be this is the first time the NPC asks for help. So that's true, and we're going to go into the conversation, and the condition on this one will be, how are we going to do this? How do you do the condition? I think you do. It's a prerequisite. No conditions. False condition. I might look at how to do this again. Is it something like this? Let's play for help. Var equals first play for help. Something like that. Equals true. I think. Let me look this up because I won't remember. Let's look at the dialogue systems help here. Dialogue manager. We want current docs, and we want logic. It might be this Lua thing. Use this Lua. If quest is equals true, there you go. That's what we want. Conditions. So we put brackets around it. Parentheses. Variable name. With the name of the variable equals true. That's, I think, how we do the condition. So almost had it right. Let's take that back. Yeah. So let's go there. We want to go variable brackets, quote, first play for help, quote, square bracket, equals true, bracket. That's how we do it, I think. And we'll copy that, and conditions are true, and it's false, it blocks that. Okay, so we want to do that, and then on this one we want to go equals false. Okay, all right, I think that's right. Let's try that out and just see which way it goes, and then we'll set the flag, and then we'll see if it takes the other branch, and then we'll figure out how to set that flag through the dialogue. Because if you get further in the dialogue, you can set the flag automatically through the dialogue. All right. Don't punch the bird. Okay, talk. Is it done? Have you cleared out the monster? Ah, that's got the wrong conversation attached now, because I need to set the flags on the conversation too. So we need to switch her conversation back to the quest giving. So I'm actually going to rename that quest just to kind of make it quest giver quest. Yeah, I think I'm going to rename those two quests. Conversation. So this one here says Crazy Cat Lady, and this one is Quest Giver, and then this one here will be Crazy Cat Lady Quest Reward. I think that makes sense. Makes sense to me anyway. Okay. Quest giver, and then we should be able to go here and go quest. We need to refresh that. Just going to save that, and this has to be refreshed somehow. Why is it doing that? Questioning. Refresh the component. I don't want to reset it, I just want to refresh it. Of course, I've renamed is it a case of selecting that character again. There we go. Let's get 3 questions. Okay. Interesting. That could be because it's still attached here, perhaps. Okay, so we want to actually move to the quest giver. There we go. So that should fix that now. I think it's because I had that properties window locked. It wasn't refreshing when I reselected a different object. All right, so this should be the quest giver quest line. Dialogue. Talk. Come on. And it's not triggering. Okay. Okay. It's not triggering anything. Interesting. Okay. Is it perhaps that it's just blocking the whole tree? Variable equals true. It should be down one path or the other. First play for help equals false. Okay, the variable is called first play for help. The initial value is true, so it should be set to true. Okay, well, a test, see if that's causing the problem, is to take it off completely and just see if it actually does trigger the conversation. That would be the first debug. There we go. It was that. Okay. Goodbye. All right. So whatever I did with that condition, it broke it. So I didn't have it quite right. So how do I Lua code? Let's look back at this help again. Point and click. Conditions. Yeah. Special Lua functions. Logic. Dialogue UIs. Triggers and interactions. Variable. Deputized equals true. So this is where you can use the dialogue system to actually build a quest system, but it's a little bit limited in dialogue manager, dialogue system. And if you've got quest machine as well, the quest machine's got a lot more features, which is why I got that one. And you hand off the quest management to the quest machine tool. But you can do it. You can see it here that you've accepted the quest. It's active, or it's successful. So basically, I need to do this sort of quest stuff in here. Set some flags, and I might start with doing it in dialogue system, and then wire it into quest manager, quest machine. So I'm wondering why this thing here is not working. So state variable deputized equals true. Did I not do that quite right? I thought I did. Variable first play for help equals true. Looks right to me. Okay, maybe. Okay, conditions. Oh, that's probably the better way to do it. use the builder. Okay, so it's not a quest. It's a variable. The variable is first play for help. Is it true? Yes. Apply that. There we go. Oh, don't like any of that. Get rid of all that. Right, let's build that again. We want a variable play for help. Apply. Why didn't that work? Why the hell isn't that true? And all must be true. Any must be true. All must be true. Must be true. Append. No. Apply. Well, that's interesting. It is screwy at the moment. Okay. Doing what I thought it would be doing. Probably because I did it wrong in the first place. We want this flag here. Conditions. Let's see if we can rebuild this again. Grab variable first play for help is true. Yes, it is true. We want to append that to a blank thing. There we go. There we go. Variable. Okay, so that was interesting. So it might have been the fact I had the parentheses around the whole thing because it was a combined thing. Okay, variable first play for help is true. Okay, so that's that one. And then this one, we're going to get rid of all that because obviously the format's not quite right. And we'll jump back out to that one and then over to this one. And then we use the builder. And we'll say that is false. Apply. Okay, so now the flags are set. So when you say, sure, what can I do now? Then what we want to do is we want to have an outcome of something. We want to, what do we want to do? Sequence. No, that's actually a different component. Conditions. No, it's not a condition. It's a script. Is it a script that we're doing? A variable. Yes, here we are. Set variable first play for help goes to false because we've actually been through this. Okay, so we come in to this path. It was set to true. Sure, what can I do? And when we do that, we set it to false. So then we drop out. If we come back in, then we're back into false now. So that should, in theory, give us dynamic dialogue start, depending on if we've had this conversation before. Let's see if this works. The theories sound. I don't know if the implementation sound. Talk. Can you help me, brave knight? Goodbye. Come back out. And yes, because when I did goodbye, I didn't set it either. So this one also needs to set taxes. Got to do my taxes tomorrow. So yeah, this goodbye needs to also set the. Actually, I'm wondering. I could probably set that actually when on completion of this step here. So it actually runs the script the moment that she said that first line. There we go. That should fix it. So it's a precondition, but as soon as it's set, it flips the condition. And then it's permanently false. Can you help me? Goodbye. Come back again. Oh, you're back. Please help me. There you go. That worked. Goodbye. So that's triggering that first line of dialogue dynamically now, which is good. Oh, you're back. Please help me. Sure, what can I do? I'm scared. Yeah, and that's now triggering through. Okay, I'm going now.
Find it in your heart not to walk away from here without giving some aid.
Okay, and that's where that's actually triggering the audio and it's triggering the lip sync. So that's all good. Okay, I'll investigate. And that's really where you're accepting the quest. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. It's pretty, like, apart from a couple of bugs I put in, I'm still figuring it out, but I think it's actually pretty straightforward. It's just setting flags, clearing flags, reading flags. The quests in here, so we might use this temporarily as a clear the catacomb. Clear the catacombs. Get rid of all bad guys in the catacombs. Clear the catacombs. Get rid of all bad guys in the catacombs. Yeah, that should be right. I mean, we could actually set it so that the quest. We could set it so the quest is only set to true. The completion is only set to true when you kill the boss and get the gem. Or you actually have to kill all of them, all of the zombie things down there, which would be a counter or a flag or something, or a combination of the two. But let's keep it simple. Get rid of all the bad guys in the catacombs. So there's the quest. We've got success and failure descriptions, which can be used in the dialogue. The state is unassigned, and we can set this and use this state to make sure whether this quest has actually been given. It could be failed, in which case it's never able to be. Maybe you can never do it again if it's failed. We can set it successful. You can abandon it. So it's pretty powerful. Use the display name. So I think what we'll do, I need to probably read up on this stuff to see what all these flags are going to do. There's entry subtasks, so you can have a quest with different quest tasks within it. And I do need to read up about this success description and failure description. I think that's where it'll actually display as you complete that quest on screen. You'll get like a UI which might say, success, you've killed the final guy, return to the crazy cat lady to get your reward. That's where you would have that. Or failure, the bad guys disappeared, you can't kill them all anymore. Quest has failed. Return with your tail between your legs, that sort of thing. I don't think in this tutorial level you're going to have a permanent failure. You just need to keep killing off the bad guys until you got the boss. But anyway, the quest is there. So we should be able to, in the dialogue, I'll investigate. That's really where you're saying here in the script. Quest, clear the catacombs, is set to active. I'll investigate. That's where you're saying you're going to do it, but the default is unassigned. And that's the only path down through that quest line that's going to accept the quest into your quest log. If you go there, I can't help you. She's pleaded with you, please find it in your heart not to walk away from here without helping me. You say, I can't help you, then you're not going to get the quest, so you're going to have to go back to her, go back through this thing, accept the quest, go do the quest. And at that point, if you then come back into the dialogue, once that whole tree is done, you actually want to test that quest status. So if we now do... what would we do? We would actually do on the whole quest thing here. We actually want to dynamically choose the conversation depending on that flag. I don't know quite how you do that yet. I need to read up on that. But let's just check if we can get the right outcomes. All right, is it done? Have you cleared out the monsters? That is only going to do that if the conditions are that the clear the catacombs is not unassigned. Is that right? No, it can be active. Or it can also be clear the catacombs is successful. So it's either active and in progress or it's successful, you've completed it. Because I don't think we're going to have a fail situation. I think you're just going to, once you've got the quest, it'll either be in progress or complete. And I think that should work. So that should be fine. This option here, this I've cleared the catacombs of the bad guys, that will only be done if the quest clear the catacombs is successful. So you can't produce this line if you're lying, but you can do yep, they're all dead if you're lying. No, I haven't found the cave entrance, so we need to set a flag on discovery of the cave entrance, which we could do. So let's do it's set these flags that are going to actually, or create the variables that are going to be used for these various things, and we could detect them by having the player move through a trigger. Once you get to a particular point in the dungeon, you just set that flag. So we're going to have a variable called it's going to be a variable quest, could be a quest state, but I'm going to do it as a boolean. Discovered cave entrance. Initial value is false. This flag is set once you are going down the steps. Okay, which means you basically found your way to into the catacombs. And we want another one that'll be another Boolean, and we'll say combat, zombie combat. Now let's go, what are they called? Plague husks. Enemies, plague. No, let's think about this. Catacomb enemies. Catacomb enemy combat started. So that's the first time you start combat with your first catacomb enemy, which is at the bottom of the stairs, it's going to set this flag. So this flag is set once you start first combat with any enemy in the catacomb. And that means that the conversation will then be, I've started, but I haven't cleared them all. And then we'll have another Boolean that will be, I could probably think of better ways to do this, but just for the time being, prototype it. Catacomb boss complete. And actually, that's a quest thing. I actually don't need, because the quest itself is a Boolean, which got a status flag, so I don't probably need that. I actually don't need that flag at all. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, so we've got the discover the cave entrance. What else is going on in this conversation that we need to know? I'm exploring, or some bad guys. That's based on that flag. Haven't found them yet. Go deeper in the thing. Just get to it. I thought it was some amazing hero. I don't have much to reward. Yeah. So we actually want to have a variable or an item. I think we want a quest item. Quest item. There's items. Quest. Let's create an item. And we'll have ginger cat. Description. A ginger cat that does combat. White cat, which is actually a Turkish van. A Turkish van cat that sleeps all day. Okay, so there's your item that goes in your inventory. And we want some coin. Let's go a couple of coins. Just do coins. A couple of rusty coins. Rusty coins. Okay, those descriptions I think we can use if we use this item system, but for the moment these are mostly just flags that get set. Okay, so in their items, so we can now do things I think like, I haven't discovered the cave entrance yet. Have you cleared out the monsters? Clear the catacombs is active. Yep. I haven't discovered the cave entrance. That option, the prerequisite for that option is conditions. And the condition is not the quest. We want a variable. That discovered cave entrance. I haven't discovered the cave entrance. Cave entrance is false. So if you haven't discovered the cave entrance, then you can choose that option. And then she says it's to the west, you can't miss it. And then you just basically go and find it. This option will only come up if so we want a condition on this one. Actually, you could lie at any time. They're all dead. Lie, not yet. What have I done there? Oh yeah, still hear them. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put a condition on that to say discovered cave entrance is true. You may not have actually started any combat yet. Cave entrance must be true. Apply. Why isn't it adding that? Variable cave entrance is true. Apply. There we go. Why has it done that? Twice. Okay. Hopefully it's retained that. Is it taking so long? Come on. Inventory camera render texture. I don't know what it's doing there. It's re-importing something. I think it's because I did save, because I do saves regularly. Let's just check the logic here. So, is it done? Have you cleared out the monsters? I've cleared out the catacombs. So that flag is going to get set on the quest. I think we've done that one. Yep, they're all dead. You're only going to be able to choose that if you've actually discovered the cave entrance. This one will be if you've discovered the cave entrance. Actually, we can just make that so that you've got the combat underway. This one, you've discovered the cave entrance. This one's combat's underway. Yeah. So I think the flags go on these first few, and then the rest is down to choices. Come on. Sorry, guys. I can't speed this up any faster. I can't make this move. What is going on? Okay. Well, I think I don't know how long this is going to take because it doesn't really tell you. The progress bar is not really any indicator because it might get to the end of this and then compile something else. So I don't know how long this is going to take. And I can't do anything else, which is a bugger. All right. I am going to just bring across this and just check some other logic things here while I'm waiting. So pixel crushers main. So if you use the pixel crushers dialog system, if we go to the main pixel crushers website and we get a quest machine, so the good thing about this particular module, which the dialogue system doesn't have, is you've got these procedurally generated quests, which I really like the idea of these dynamic quests as well. So you can get handwritten quests, which is what we've just been working on. But you can have these procedurally generated quests as well. And you have a lot more control over what's going on. You've got a quest journal and all that sort of stuff. So this is what I'm actually going to be using for quests, not the dialogue system. I'm just doing that temporarily just to get the dialogue process running. But the third one there is this love-hate, which is the reputation system. So this one is where we're looking at the deeds and the factions and those sorts of things. So you're going to end up by following certain dialogue choices with this NPC. You choose the reward is, keep your cats. I don't want your cats. But you're going to get this boost to your reputation, which then might give you better prices in the town or something. So that's where this product comes in. So the three of them together, very, very powerful in terms of building out the story, building out the behavior, and branching to different gameplay outcomes, I guess. So that's kind of this is just the dialogue system. As soon as I get this to a point where the quest process is working with this dungeon level, this demo level, I'll probably then introduce the quest system and replace wiring the quest machine product to actually take care of the quests in here. And then as a result of this last bit where you thank you so much, come back anytime and I'll cook you a great meal. That thing there is going to then, I think, set a deed that is going to give you a reputation boost, which can then be read in the next town over. And that might be the only way to do it. Like if you walk in there with the cat, you get either the ginger cat or the white cat, and maybe you get a little bit of a reputation boost because you successfully, did the thing, but you might get a much better reputation boost with this third one where you're actually not taking the pets off her, because you'll probably get cats all over the place in the game. So, and then of course you got the burb. So his quest lines are going to be interesting because you will need to discover that he can actually do dialogue. You might just hear him chirping away, and I might make it so that you need to get pretty close to him in order to actually bring up the dialogue system. So you might just hear him, you might stand next to him, you see him chirping, but you'd have to know that you can have dialogue with him, in which case you probably watch my channel, then you'll know that. And then from there, depending on the dialogue choices, maybe he will give you some quests, and maybe he will actually become an accomplice of some sort, or an inventory item that you carry him around with you. That's the plan anyway, that he becomes basically a quest giver. I think this is going to take forever, so I'm going to let this run. I don't want to interfere with it. I don't want to... I don't think I can cancel it without killing Unity, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to let this run its course. It usually does kind of work through. I don't know why it's importing camera render textures. That's very odd. I'll have to look that up. So I think that's about all I'm going to do on this stream. I've been going for a couple of hours, but thank you very much for joining. If you have watched it on Twitch live, that's great. If not, then you're probably looking at this while it's up on my YouTube channel. So a few things. I have a Discord that everyone can join, and there's lots of things going on Discord at the moment. So we've got a big discussion going about what's going into the game. I am putting up pics and vids of things that are going on. I'm running a survey here. In fact, about the dialogue system. So one of the surveys that I'm interested in is whether players would be interested to see the way the camera sort of looks at the NPC, sort of focus in on the NPC while they're talking. Should the camera then sort of pan back to the player while the player is talking? And if you've played Fallout 3, then the player doesn't talk. You do select the dialogue choices, but you don't hear them. And obviously you don't see the player's face doing the lip sync and all that, but potentially we can do that. So all of them, the main player characters have got the lip sync wired in to be able to do that. And it's a question of writing the dialogue and then recording the audio for the player's audio lines. If we just look at the NPC, and you're sort of looking over the shoulder of the player, at the NPC, then potentially you're only recording the audio for the NPC, and you're doing it like Fallout 3. But that was 10, 15 years ago. So I am keen to have the player actually have their own audio lines as well. But yeah, what do you do with the camera then? Do you pass the camera backwards and forwards between the two people, or do you frame the camera in a way that can show both of them at the same time, or something else? So I'm doing this survey poll. I'll probably leave this survey poll up there for a few weeks just to get different people's views on it. Please join the Discord server. If you look up Zarktor's Realm on any of the social media platforms, you should be able to get to the Steam page, and from there you can join the Discord. I've also got a new channel in the Discord, which is more for other indie developers who might be sort of following what I'm doing. And so here I'll be posting up technical things like this one here, which is effectively my component diagram for these things I've been talking about in this stream tonight. So rewired's handling, the the inputs from the mouse, the keyboard, the gamepad control. You got the horse riding component. You got the main character controller. The dialogue system is now green because that's now working. Quest Machine's about to be wired up to that. That's definitely working. These are working. That's working. That's to be done still. Blink's got to be put back in. So the ones that are red are now starting to get done. All the green stuff's basically working. Just needs to be as I build each scene, I just need to use those tools for that. But they're working. They're in the environment. It's all working. So the red things will be the things I've been sort of working on next. The main sort of player controller is in the middle here. So all the sort of complex stuff is going on in the middle. Blink's going to be an interesting one because we've got to get that to work with all of these things. So yeah, that kind of technical stuff is going on in the Discord. So that'll be interesting to anyone who's an indie developer. But yeah, please join the Discord, get your input into the game. I'm sort of keen to get people's view on what they think of this sort of dialogue system and the branching dialogue and that sort of thing, because it certainly does appeal to people who have played a lot of RPG games. If you've done a lot of Baldur's Gate or Baldur's Gate 3 or anything like that, or Fallout or Skyrim, then you know what I'm talking about with the sort of branching dialogue where you might have like a skill, like a speech skill, and you get different dialogue choices if you get the speech skill. So all that sort of stuff. You literally, you've seen it tonight. You're literally setting some flags or reading some conditions, and then allowing particular parts of the dialogue to be activated if conditions are met. So it's technically very, very simple. It's really quite straightforward to do. It's just mandrolically creating all this stuff. So I've got a few people that have offered to help with writing dialogue, which will be great. I'm going to be setting up some tools to import this stuff from Excel, so they can sort of work on it offline in a spreadsheet, and then I'll import it, test it all out, set some flags, call on the salsa lip sync and the emotes so that you can actually do emotions and things like that. And you can call animations. So someone's saying, get out of my hut. Then you can have them sort of pointing at the door with an animation as they're saying it. So that's all really cool. And I guess once we got to this point and we're sort of satisfied that the dialogue is right, then that's where we would outsource the voice recording and go off to Fiverr and get the people that are professional voice actors to actually record the audio, bring it back in, plug those audio files back in, and if they're named correctly according to the standard, with the character's name, the conversation number, probably the conversation name, and then the line of dialogue name, then that audio file will automatically play as you're choosing these things. So that's the plan anyway. The theory is sound. We're actually going to go through a process of testing all this stuff, obviously. But this is a good way to test how much dialogue. Like this is probably a couple of minutes of clicking stuff in game, so there's not much more than 2 minutes of audio probably associated with this. But I need to kind of work out how much audio we're going to be recording over the whole game, and this kind of gives me a sense of per level or per NPC how much dialogue it might generate. It's kind of a good way to gauge it, is by having seen how many branches we've got and how long the sentences are, because I've got to pay for the dialogue to be recorded, and a lot of it is paid by word or by line of dialogue or whatever. So I need to kind of work out how much I can afford to do in terms of dialogue, and find some good voice actors who will actually fit the part of the characters. We're going to do the character sheets to figure out what the character profiles are, and then find the voice actors who can best deliver the lines in the way that looks most realistic to these characters. Because at the moment I'm using canned audio files, which are great, but they may not be the final thing. So from that point of view, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable. I think what I'm going to be doing in the next week is to build on this a little bit more, set a few more flags. I will once this damn thing is finished doing whatever it's doing, come back to it tomorrow, I will be setting those little variable flags for discovering the cave and killing the main bad guy, so that you can go and complete that quest and make sure that these dialogue choices make sense and that the quest's completion gets set correctly. And I think the next thing after that will be to get the enemies to actually start doing damage to the player, so there's some risk involved in it. And then we can get into things like items in the inventory, and obviously have a bit of fun with the bird in terms of the dialogue with the bird and the quest that he's going to give you, which will be different to the quest that she's given you. And what else is in there? There are a few other things to sort of wire up, like the quest system and the reputation system, and the RPG builder. But for the most part, this scene is coming together quite nicely. It hasn't taken massive amount of time. Most of it's been sort of me just sort of exploring how best to get all this to hang together. But I think that's about all I've got time for on the channel. I'm going to, because I don't know how long this is going to take, so I'm going to probably leave it there. Thank you for joining. Please check out Zarktor's Realm on Steam. I'd love for you to put it into your wish list if you haven't already. It really helps me out. Big thumbs up on that. We are looking to launch in July of next year, 2023. We have a lot to do between now and then, but I think even just little things like what we've been able to work through tonight were technical challenges that I wanted to get out of the way, because the rest is largely chunking through writing lots of dialogue. So I'm hoping to get to the point where in the next couple of months, once the demo is ready for PAX Oz in Melbourne in October, that a lot of the rest of the game development is going to be building levels, putting NPCs in, writing dialogue, recording dialogue, testing. And we'll be getting into beta testing once the demo's ready. And this is the demo level we're looking at here. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. I really don't want to move the launch date if I can help it. I'm trying to keep it at sort of July next year, but it is largely me. Probably 95% of the work on the project is me doing the heavy lifting, but I do have help from others. But I think as we move into the later stages of the project, then other people will be able to help more, and the dialogue will get written a lot quicker because multiple people will be working on it, and so things should speed up in terms of creating lots of content. But of course, the engine room has to hang together. This stuff behind the scenes that you're seeing in these streams from me, it has to hang together. The game mechanics have to hang together, because the content's not going to mean anything if it's too buggy to work. So I am just thinking if there's anything else I need to cover. No, I don't. I think that's probably about all I need to say at this point. So thank you very much for joining. Check it out on Steam. Please join the Discord and send me your thoughts on Discord. I will listen to what people have to say and their thoughts on what they think would be good in the game. I'm very keen to get humor into this game as much as I can, so there'll definitely be a Monty Python sort of type of humor to this. And there will be music coming. So in the coming weeks, I will be probably streaming some music that I'm going to be working on. Like I'll be probably working on some music myself and probably playing it on the stream and just figuring out on guitar or on piano or whatever, some songs that I'd want to sort of put into, or background music that I want to put into the game. So yeah, that will be coming. We'll see how it all pans out, but I really appreciate you watching the video. If you're on YouTube, thank you for joining. I will catch you next week. All right, bye.